So it's my pleasure to introduce our two guest speakers tonight who are going to talk about Coffee and the World, a global story in every cup. First, I'd like to introduce Blanca Maria Castro, who already mentioned the International Women's Coffee Alliance, which is a nonprofit organization that she's going to talk about. Tell us what she does, tell us some stories of some of the women who work there, and then tell us about what the chapters are doing. Blanca, in a prior incarnation, was a diplomat for the government of Guatemala. And she has dedicated her career to supporting and working on issues of sustainment, development, women, entrepreneurship, and just has the most distinguished and interesting career. She'll tell you about the chapters of IWCA. She speaks 5 languages and with a small team supports projects in 36 different countries around the world. So I'm looking forward to hearing what she has to say. And to my immediate left is Sharon Riechers, who some of you already know. Sharon is the Senior Director of Global Sales for BUNN. She began her career as an accountant for KPMG and worked her way up from the finance department at BUNN and then transitioned into global sales. She has been a board member of the International Women's Coffee Alliance and has served as both treasurer and chair. And BUNN does so much around the world, and so I hope that Sharon will tell a little bit about that. And so it's my real pleasure to introduce Blanca and Sharon, and the mic is yours.
Thank you, everyone. So I'm going to start us off here. We have our title presentation, A Coffee in the World, A Global Story in Every Cup. So, of course, Springfield is the home of BUNN-O-Matic. We obviously manufacture coffee brewers and a lot of different beverage equipment. So we're going to start with what we do locally. We're going to talk about coffee, and then we're going to gradually expand our story that comes in every cup. So we're going to start small and then move out. So I do want to start by pointing out the cherries, the coffee cherries that you see there on the left of your screen. Most of them are red, not all of them. There's a couple green ones in there. So coffee grows in bunches like this, just like grapes do, except they do not all ripen at the same time. So these are hand-picked by the farmers in the producing countries, because if you put the green ones, don't taste very good. Now, what many people don't realize is that a coffee bean is not really a bean. It's the seed inside that coffee cherry. And if you think you're going to go to a coffee farm and bite into one of these and it's going to be sweet like the kind of cherry that you think you're going to buy at the grocery store, like we think of as a cherry, you're going to be in for a big surprise because it's very bitter and hard, and it doesn't taste very good like this. And as we were speaking with our group earlier, every bit of that cherry is used. The bean is pulled out of the seed is pulled out, and that's your coffee bean. And then the skin, all of the stuff around the cherry seed, just like a cherry that we think of, is all used for something. So none of it goes to waste. All right, so starting locally with BUNN. BUNN, our tagline is quality since 1840. In 1840, Jacob BUNN opened his grocery store in Springfield, and young Abe Lincoln was one of his first customers. The venture grew into BUNN Capital Wholesale Grocery Company, which some of you might remember, here in Springfield, and was later managed by George BUNN, who founded and incorporated the Beverage Equipment Division and incorporated BUNN-O-Matic in 1963. The grocery store is on the bottom left, and then there's Jacob BUNN in the middle. And of course, the BUNN-O-Matic headquarters that's out on Ash Grove Drive is on the right. And of course, we still have our manufacturing facility and engineering on Stevenson Drive. BUNN produces a full range of beverage dispensing equipment. Many of you have seen, because they last a long time, you've seen what I call the old buns, but they're really functional and they do just as good a job, as any of them that are manufactured. But what you see on the screen are some of the newer BUNN models, and most of these have digital technology built in. You can program them. They can be serviced from afar. So if you see one of these machines in a Circle K, somewhere out in the middle of nowhere, it's likely tied into our servers here in Springfield, where our technicians can monitor those machines and can usually find something that might be needing service before the machine even breaks or before the people at the store even realize it's got an issue. So it's pretty technologically advanced. We also have the slushing machines on the far left. So that's also a big part of our beverage business. And the slushy machines you will see in a lot of restaurants. You'll see those in convenience stores. They make great margaritas. They really make a nice soft serve ice cream as well. It's pretty soft, but it's still ice cream. It tastes really good. And then on the far right, you'll see one of our home models, the MCU. It's a single cup server brewer, and we've got a whole lineup. So whatever you need, whatever your customer base is, whatever your traffic is that comes into, for example, a convenience store. We work with all the major convenience stores, and there's a brewer for everybody, regardless of how many customers you have. BUNN offers global equipment solutions. You will find BUNN brewers anywhere in the world on 5 continents, 95 plus countries. We've got 20 plus national and international agency certifications on our machines. We have worldwide warranties and voltages for most countries, so pretty adaptable anywhere in the world. And if you've been around the world, you've seen BUNN brewers. They're all over the place. We also have a large service department. So not only do we do sales, we also do service in addition to sales. And our service division not only services BUNN brewers, but we service competitor equipment as well. So that's a very big growing part of the business. What you'll see on the map are BUNN locations all over the world. Of course, we're here in Springfield, Illinois. We have an assembly plant in Creston, Iowa. We have a filter plant in Whitehall, Illinois, which is just south of Jacksonville. We have a manufacturing and sales facility in Aurora, Ontario, which is just outside of Toronto. We have an office in Mexico City, a warehouse in Brazil, a warehouse in England, and we have a warehouse and some production in China. The production in China is for that market. It's for the Chinese market. Most of what is sold anywhere else around the world is engineered, designed, and manufactured here in the U.S. between Springfield, Illinois, and Creston, Iowa. So we're very proud of that fact of made in the U.S. This is a picture of our industry involvement and support in the coffee industry. These are various pictures from trade shows, and you'll see the top middle is a breakfast that IWCA hosts at the Specialty Coffee Association trade show, which is a huge trade show for specialty coffee. We'll talk a little bit about that in our presentation. And we have a breakfast there every year, which we love to host and is well attended. And the picture on the bottom right is a picture of an IWCA event held in Europe last year. And so these, again, you can see well attended, and We love what we do around the world, and Blanca's going to talk a little bit more about that. But this is BUNN's industry involvement. We're very involved in the whole supply chain, because if we don't have coffee beans, then we don't need coffee brewers, right? So, but we love supporting the producers in the industry and making a difference in the world. BUNN also is involved in a global sustainability issue. Recognize that our business operations impact the environment, and we've got a program surrounding all of that as well with our manufacturing operations. All right, so with that, we will expand out now from the local BUNN impact on coffee and move out a little bit and talk more about coffee itself. And Blanca's going to talk more about what she does.
Thank you, Sharon, and thank you, everybody, for hosting me tonight. Thank you. So I decided to tell a little bit of my personal story to introduce you and how I got into coffee. I studied political science and international commerce, nothing to do with coffee, and I was very lucky to found this job as marketing manager of the coffee board in Guatemala for coffee producers. So this is part of my team in Anacafe, that's how we call it. It's a great institution that supports the more than 125,000 coffee growers in Guatemala. And that's my team, that's my marketing team then. And I learned everything I know about coffee, I learned from that group of people. So I'm very grateful for that institution. It's a private sector institution, by the way. It's not from the government, although in their board, they have government sitting in there. So my task was to promote coffees from Guatemala. I speak 5 languages, and I know a little bit about the world, and I love to travel, but I didn't know nothing about coffee. So what I had to do is I bought a pair of boots and a hat, and I asked all the agronomists from Anacafe to take me to the fields to meet the coffee growers, small, medium, and large, and see whatever was needed for me to understand them. And what I got from that is big respect for coffee growers. They do miracles in the field, really. Because so many factors, from economical, social, and political issues. So I've learned a lot. I know how to cup, I know how to roast, I know how to prepare an espresso, but I don't have any coffee business. I just wanted to learn so that I was not speaking nonsense when I was promoting the coffees from Guatemala. So why the coffees from Guatemala are so special? They have high altitudes. They have more than 300 microclimates. That's wonderful. We have a consistent rainfall patterns. There is water everywhere. We have, as Sharon said, everything is picked by hand, and so is the rest of the processing. Everything is done by hand. And of course, the soils, you can see the chain of volcanoes. We have more than 22 volcanoes, 3 of them active, and it's a beautiful view. And one of the coffees that you are drinking comes from that area. And of course, 98% of that coffee is shade grown. So that it's very important for biodiversity and also to preserve the coffee quality you are drinking. Guatemala is among the 10th producers from coffee around the world. There are 2 types of coffee, the Arabica and the Robusta. The biggest producer is Brazil, followed by Vietnam, Colombia, Ethiopia, Uganda, and the rest. So in this graphic, in the bottom, you can see more than I would say that 60% of the coffee of Guatemala comes up to the north, to United States and Canada. The rest goes to Europe and to Asia, and they pay a very high price for the coffees of Guatemala. There is a market for every coffee, even the lowest land coffee has a market. So Guatemala does a great job in promoting them. And by promoting them, they created these regions These are scientific proof. They had to go through 5 years to really prove that the cup profile remains the same throughout every cup. This is the beginning of the denomination of origin, the appellation of origin that you already know in wine or in cheese or in ham or in any other tequila, for example. So coffee also could and does have in some countries that feature where they can promote their cup profiles in a better way for the connoisseurs, for those who know more about the coffee. And who produces the coffee? 96% of the coffee that Guatemala produce is from small producer. The rest are medium and large producers. So the taste and the high quality of coffee is in hands of cooperatives or associations in the country. And they are all associated to this Anacafe institution. So they are well protected. Guatemala has a very good reputation towards transparency into their negotiation and so forth. This is something that I wanted to show you. This is the spider. You can see that is the cup profile. You can see when a cupper is tasting the coffee, they will feel the sweetness, the aftertaste, the acidity, and all that. So every coffee has its own profile. So as you can see, for example, the region of San Marcos has this profile. So is the Atitlan. Huehuetenango, that is very famous, is fine, intense acidity with a full body and pleasant wine notes. Nuevo Oriente is well balanced with the fine mouthfeel and chocolatey flavor. Fray Hines, I cannot read it from here, but it's all right. And Acatenango, mark acidity, fragrant aroma, balanced body, and clean lingering finished. Antigua, which is one of the famous one, elegant and well balanced with a rich aroma and very sweet taste. And Coban, the rainforest Coban, distinct fresh fruit notes, fine, well balanced body, and pleasant aroma. The other night we were talking with Kathy how the cuppers really distinguished all these flavors and this. And when I started working, really, it was for me like, really? Hazelnut, chocolate? I don't think so. Because I don't have the palate trained. But throughout the years, through having all these coffees served in my office, then I got it. The apple tasted, the peaches, it exists. And I love to hear all these Q graders because they have beautiful way how to describe what your tongue is tasting. And the industry has transformed that untangible way to taste the coffee into a formula that will put a number to it. That number will provide the tool of negotiation of the price. Tops is 10, like in the edge of that spider web, right? We can barely find coffees that reach the 10th, but we do find coffees at 90 points, up to 84 points, up to 84 and above are specialty coffees. And those who are below are commercial coffees, the cheapest one, but they also have a market. So after working for Anacafe, I found a nice proposition for the International Trade Center in Geneva. This organization is under the umbrella of the World Trade Organization. And they invited me as a consultant to make a consultant work for coffee growers. But I thought that they were going to send me to Central America where I was based and I was there. But to my surprise, they sent me to Africa. And I spent a couple of months there visiting all this group of ladies. They were forming chapters. And these are very beautiful stories that I'm going to tell throughout the presentation. So this is how I got engaged with IWCA, first as a consultant, paid as by the ITC, the International Trade Center. And I was representing them, meeting them, getting to know them more. more. And it was a fascinating experience, and still is, because in Africa, currently we have 8 chapters and ongoing. Now we have Ghana and Mozambique who has signed to be a formal chapter anytime soon. So to understand a little bit more about the world, because remember that I knew about Guatemala and I had to learn more about what was happening in the rest of the world. So who produces coffee? As I told you, most of the coffee that we find in the market is either Arabica, Robusta, or a blend of them both. These are the countries, this is the belt, Equatorian belt, where all the coffee is being grown. As you can see, we cannot find coffees in the United States except in Hawaii or Puerto Rico. But this is where we can find. And the other graphic is a graphic that I found from dates on December 25. Coffee, it has a stock market. And it goes up and down, as you can imagine, and also it's ruled by the common economic law of demand and offer, right? But there are other factors that have an impact on the price, and that is, for example, the climate in Brazil. Why? Because Brazil is the biggest coffee producer in the world. So every coffee producer who really wants to negotiate their coffee every year, every day during the harvest season, they need to put attention to these statistics, and they need to learn well how the market is marking the price. They can set up futures into the market, and that turns the thing a little bit more complex. And then there are other players in position to bring the coffees where they're being asked. So who drinks the coffee? This is a very interesting map, because you can see up in the north, in the right side, Finland, Denmark, and all the Nordics, they drink more than 9 cups a day. 9 to 12, imagine that.
My dad's side of the family is Finnish, so that's true.
Thank you for validating that. So this is very important to know where coffee is being drank and how it is accepted and how they drink it, so that the producers and whoever trades coffee will understand how are the consuming trends and the way the coffee is being shipped and prepared. So this graphic also shows a little bit on where the coffee comes from. Exactly in which percentage. Africa, for example, Uganda is the biggest exporter. Central America, Honduras is the biggest one. From South America, Brazil, as I already said. Asia and the Pacific is Vietnam, the biggest producer. And how are we doing with the export and import? Africa consumes more of their production, but also it goes to Central America and Europe and the rest. So Europe and Asia and the Pacific are the biggest consumer of coffees. And then goes North America, as I said, South America the follows, and Africa and Central America the latest. So this is a very interesting graphic for understand where the coffee comes from and where it ends. And of course, they are a local consumption that is really representative. So to understand a little bit about how the consuming trend of coffees are being shown throughout the years, the industry has named it on waves. The first wave corresponds to the end of the Second World War, where these machines were invented, the coffee maker, and the taste, it didn't matter. By then, the coffee industry was ruled by quotas, and it was just coffee, just roasted coffee, and everybody was drinking coffee. The second wave was when the quotas were off the market, so every country could sell whatever they wanted. And very specialized people like Erna Knudsen and so many other luminaries from the coffee, they identified the specialty coffee, those cup profiles that were very special. And these guys, Starbucks and Cosa and the Caribou Coffee that are there, they identified these specialty coffees. So they started really selling coffees in that position. What was the strictly hard bean and that features that will identify them. And the third wave did identify the country and even the name of the farm, what Riechers did. This coffee is from Guatemala and is from the farm Los Andes, and the owners is Olga Hazard, for example. So they place the coffee, the coffee in the bag in the exact position in the map in the world. So that is the third wave, and that information is the base of their marketing strategies, so that people order coffee, not a cappuccino or an espresso, but they will order by farm. I would like to have a Maragogipe from Panama or a geisha from... that exact things were created by Intelligentsia, Counterculture, Stumptown, and many others. This has grown throughout the years. But now we are talking about the fourth wave. How are people positioning the coffee in the market? And this is by introducing technology in the production and processing. These days, it's not only washing the coffee and drying and take the parchment out, and this has become more complex. Now we are talking about fermentation with fruits. We are talking about honey, leaving all the mucilage in the bean so that the honeys, the sweetness of the cherry will remain in the bean, so it will taste differently. So that is a technology that has started, let's say, I would say the last 10 years or so. Also, they found out that there is a market for every coffee. It doesn't matter if it is Robusta or Arabica. Here you can see the differences between the beans. The Arabica is the smallest one, and the Arabica has more, their cup profile is more complex. Robusta is not so complex, but these days, thanks to technology and new processing, the Robusta is also being cupped and being participating in the market in the same way as Arabica. It's growing, so it's transforming. So now we are talking more about types and varieties and how they are being fermented. Now they are even using yeasts and things to ferment their coffee. And there is a fourth factor that will identify the fourth wave, and is if the coffee is being grown in areas where sustainability projects are being taken care of. Like, for example, social or environmental projects, where if the producers are taking care of the waste of water, if they are being organic, what are they doing with the organic fertilizers, or if they have facilities that will support the livelihood of their workers or their small producers, like schools, health, and food security, as I mentioned before. So that has become a big issue among the coffee market, and there are certifiers that are supporting that. Fair Trade, for example, is one. Also, Starbucks has one of those, C4, and there are others, right? So they are putting a little bit more of attention on what is happening in the field. If the coffee owners, if the farms or the cooperatives are really putting attention on the livelihood of the people who are working in there. And also the buyers would like, this time of the season of the year, there is many roasters that go to origin. Guatemala right now is full of buyers because they want to go, they want to see. They invest in a ticket, they invest in 1 week, 2 weeks to stay in Guatemala. They jump in a truck, they go and really check that what they are buying is really what is in their container that will come back home. So that's part of of how the coffee is being appreciated, and with that also how we are appreciating the work of the producers. Sharon, would you like to continue with this?
Sure. Okay, the next few slides are more words than the fun, beautiful pictures, so we won't read everything on the screen, so we'll try to get through these a little bit more quickly. But continuing on with the theme of coffee, the 7 most traded agricultural commodities, the 4th one there is coffee behind corn, wheat, and soybeans. And when you throw in all commodities, including crude oil, natural gas, gold, and copper, coffee ranks around 9th, depending on the source of your information. So it is a commodity that's traded. I know we don't maybe think about that. We just think about drinking it. We don't realize what all is involved behind the scenes. What drives coffee prices? They've gone way up. Weather and crop issues in your major producing countries. So Brazil, the largest coffee producer, has fought drought and frost and freezing in recent years. Vietnam has also experienced weather disruptions, the weather disruptions that we see pretty much anywhere in the world now. And of course, when the supply tightens in these countries, the prices rise, the global commodity prices rise. The market volatility, speculation by traders, we'll get into that a little bit on a different slide. Currency fluctuations, especially the strength of the US dollar, and anticipation of future shortages, again, much of that due to climate change. The higher shipping and logistics costs, ocean freight, all of the coffee that comes into the US is exported. Hawaii and Puerto Rico pretty much just supply coffee to their own people. Kona Coffee in Kauai and Hawaii does export some, but for the most part, all of our coffee is imported. Fuel, port congestion, insurance and warehousing, all of these things drive up coffee prices. The labor and operating costs in the U.S., any domestic costs, higher wages for baristas and food service workers, increasing rent and utilities, packaging costs, equipment maintenance and financing, all of this factors into your coffee prices as well. The quality and specialty coffee growth. Specialty coffee drives higher prices to your producers, and we'll talk a little bit more about that when Blanca speaks a little bit more about what we do to help the producers and the farmers. Specialty coffee requires more careful processing and sourcing and includes certifications and direct trade performance. So there's all kinds of things involved in the background behind the specialty coffee. Inflation, structural supply constraints. Coffee trees take 3 to 5 years to mature. And when that supply drops, the farmers cannot quickly increase production. You have to wait for the tree to grow. So there's not much you can do other than just wait. And tariffs. There is a little bit of tariff, Brazil, as we know, there was some discussion about tariffs for imports from Brazil. That was waived off. It just kind of depends on the situation of, at the time. But that can also affect because that prices are passed along to the consumer. Why does coffee trade so heavily? It's because of the global demand across North America, Europe, and more Asia. Asia traditionally has been known as a tea-consuming continent, but coffee has become popular with the young people, and of course that has then spread across more of Asia. Continuous consumption. It's a daily beverage. You can go ahead. You drink it every day. It's not something that you just save for a cookout or, a cold evening. You drink it all the time. So everybody's always drinking it. A large futures market. New York and London. New York trades the Arabica. London trades the Robusta beans. And then finally, a global supply chain. There's 70 producing countries, but only 5 of those account for 70% of the global supply. So those top countries that Blanca mentioned, Brazil, Vietnam, Colombia, they produce most of the beans. The largest coffee companies in the world, the major traders of green coffee. And what green coffee is that seed as it comes out of the cherry. And they're washed, they're picked, they're washed, dried. They're literally dried on patios, and that's the green coffee at a very high level. That's green coffee. So those 5 companies at the top are the major coffee traders of green coffee. And then, of course, those seeds have to be roasted. And the major roasters are those 4 that are listed below, all of which are customers of BUNN. Side note. How coffee futures pricing works. As mentioned, the Arabica coffee futures are traded on the Intercontinental Exchange in New York and Robusta in London. The next bullet shows a little bit about how pricing works. The traders buy and sell standardized contracts for future delivery. The market price becomes the benchmark C price for Arabica, for example. Physical coffee trades at that C price plus a differential depending on where the coffee's coming from, the quality of that coffee, the certifications that it has, and the logistics involved in importing that coffee. And there's kind of an example right there. But that allows the farmers and exporters to hedge the price risk, roasters to lock in their costs, and speculators to provide liquidity. As Blanca touched on a few minutes ago, coffee traders, the professionals that do this for a living, monitor price spikes months in advance, and they focus on Brazil. The most predictive signals relate to climate in Brazil, production, inventory, rainfall, and for example, with the weather, rainfall during the flowering season is very important, the soil moisture levels, temperature spikes, the frost risk, biennial production cycles. So there can be an on year where the coffee bushes produce more coffee, and then lower crop year might be an off year. So they change biannually. And so they try to balance out how that coffee is planted and how it grows and produces. You might have heard of some of these famous high-priced coffees, the Kopi Luwak. This can get interesting in how some of these coffee beans are produced. But, the black ivory coffee, the Panama Geisha coffee, that might be the one that's the safest to try. Some of that Panama coffee has traded at $1,000 a pound. So if you think your Starbucks cup of joe in the morning is expensive, you might want to think about how much that Panama Geisha coffee costs. But some of these 3 coffees, if you've heard of them, and you may know, they're very expensive. Kopi Luwak, black ivory coffee, and the Panama Geisha coffee. And a civet, an Asian palm civet, if you don't know what that is, it's like a mongoose. Okay, moving on. Just FYI. Typical breakdown of a $5 coffee latte is the farmer gets 5 to 10% of that. The exporter trader 10 to 15, the roaster 25 to 35, and then that retailer 40 to 60. So, yeah. Yep. All right. You've learned everything you need to know about coffee. We do have trivia questions if we had time at the end, but I don't think we're going to have time at the end because we still have more to go. I'm going to hand the microphone back over to Blanca, and she's going to talk a little bit more about the International Women's Coffee Alliance and how we help these producers.
Thank you, Sharon. These are beautiful pictures taken throughout the years. IWCA is a 501c3 nonprofit organization based in the United States. thanks to the support of some founding partners, and BUNN is one of them. So that is how it exists, by the interest of five fine ladies, traders, who made a trip to Central America, and they decided to help small coffee producers to place their coffee in the market. So they came back, they founded the IWCA, and I asked them today if they thought ever if we were going to have 37 chapters, not 36. Last week we signed with Canada. And they all said to me, no, we never thought that this was going to grow that much. So this is our map today. We have chapters in Latin America and the Caribbean with all these coffee-producing countries, Africa and Yemen, Asia and Papua New Guinea, and the coffee-consuming countries, the USA, Canada now, Australia, Japan, Korea, and some chapters in Europe. So when I started volunteering and supporting and working for IWCA, there were no chapters in coffee-consuming countries, and I thought, why? Because the coffee value chain goes through the whole chain. We thought by then that maybe we needed to do a protocol. All these chapters are being formed, and they are independently managed. They have their own bylaws. They have their own board of directors. They have their own strategic plan. And IWCA Global, what it does is we follow whatever plan they have throughout the years. We encourage them to rotate their leadership, to rotate their board of members, of board of directors. We encourage them to have a membership structure so that they could be self-sustained. IWCA Global is not. We accept donations, and we have sponsors, and we have partners. That's how we work. And what else can I tell about this map? It's overwhelming. So when I started working as chapter relations manager, remember that I was hired by the International Trade Center to support Africa. But then the IWCA, the board in 2015, they realized that they needed someone who could really take care of the following up on these chapters. There were 15 by then, 14 or 15, and I knew by heart the name of everybody in these 15 countries, who was doing what, and it was easy. But then we started growing, and it was a trouble there because I couldn't follow the sun. I wake up having meetings at 8 a.m., and then I was waking up the girls in Australia at my 8 p.m., and my husband was asking me, what are you doing? I mean, it's impossible. So then IWCA also grew. We had an executive director. We have a communications manager. And then we started the real growth on IWCA as a platform that will deliver more to these chapters. Today we have 4 regional coordinators that help me really delivering what we are setting up through all these plans or calendar and our strategic plans. So what do we have today? Last year we made a survey, and we have more than 25,000 chapter members around the world. I think we have a little bit more than that because we haven't counted Canada that we just signed last week. And we have more than 30,000 beneficiaries. That means people who are working in cooperatives, but they don't pay a membership. They are beneficiaries. So our small but strong community gathers more than 55,000 members, women and men, because we are not exclusive of women. We do have chapter members, fine gentlemen who are working with us hand by hand, and that is exactly what we want to do. This is a nice graphic where we are showing the advancement throughout the years on how we are building the legacy of the empowerment since the IWCA was created. Mainly, we are working in 3 areas that we will talk about that. But this is a nice graphic as we are going to share you will see there the advancements. We have create partnership with good organizations who is helping us and growing, and that's what we do. I need to clarify that it's not me going around the coffee event saying, "Hey, come join us." That is not what we do. We need to grow within the country, and they come to us. We have a protocol. They need to follow the protocol. It's not easy. It costs time and it costs money. They need to find their way how to really accomplish our protocol of a chapter formation. If they accomplish that, then we sign an agreement and they become a real IWCA chapter. If they forget about the thing, it's okay. I mean, we are there to serve whoever wants to be served. Okay, our goals: amplified market visibility to place their coffees and their services into the international coffee market, develop leadership strategies and strategic partnership, because we encourage them to have that contacts with their local organizations so that they have a vote and that they have a place to be. I placed this picture there because it's very representative of what the empowerment of women can do. This lady, her name is Patricia Tomeino Nam, and she is the founder of the chapter in Cameroon. She was last year the only female candidate for the presidency of her country. Very bravely. She was not elected, but it was a huge step forward into that country to have a woman running for president. This is a very nice slide with the logos of everybody who has been helping us throughout the times. Could be either with funds, donations, in-kind, agreements, any kind of help where we can work together to support women. We don't know it all. We don't do it all. So we need to find those who have the means and the vision and the structure to help our community. This is a last picture taken in IWCA in Addis Ababa. This is a very nice story that I need to tell. When I was in Ethiopia the first time and I asked if they could form a chapter, everybody said no. The government will not allow a woman organization there. Because they say that they already had an organization, a coffee export thing or an agricultural minister. Why would women need an organization for their own? So everybody said no and no and no and no. And you know, women, we are very persisting and very thorough on what we do. And 3 years later, we got a chapter in Ethiopia. And we celebrated our convention in 2023, and all the authorities were sitting there with Sharon, taking pictures with the ministers and everybody. So that was a great thing. So gender gap in the coffee value chain, and that is in coffee producing and coffee consuming countries in both sides. Labor distribution is not the same. Income is not the same. Sometimes the wages are different. Ownership, in some countries, they are not able to own their own business, or they are not inheriting their father's business or land or business. It only goes by tradition, right? And leadership decision making. We need women also sitting in the places where the decisions are being made. This is a nice pictures of grafting competition that is being executed by the chapter in Guatemala to visibilize the job of small workers by grafting the Robusta root with the Arabica root. This is done to strengthen the tree, but also we need that work that is the smallest from all the coffee processing. It's very important, and we need to visibilize because it's done by the small hands of women. That picture there is the school of Los Andes, of the farm of the coffee that you're drinking, and these are the fine owners of Coffee Emporium there. What is next for IWCA? We develop programs based on chapter needs. We follow their needs and their whatever they want, raise funds for programs, prioritize institutional sustainability, and we strengthen partnerships wherever they allowed us to do that. This is a picture taken for the group in Vietnam. This is a beautiful group. Remember that Vietnam is a communist country, and we work perfectly well with them. They're commercially speaking, they're very open. And I put there a phrase from the FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization. If granted the same access to land, financing, and technology as men, women could increase their agricultural input by 20 to 30%. This picture was taken in the breakfast that we celebrated in Minas Gerais in Brazil. This is the chapter of Brazil. It's the biggest one. And this is just a part. They have 12 sub-chapters for obvious reasons. They're the biggest country and they're wonderful. They do a lot. I am there standing with the board of the chapter, and they do miracles in such a big country, producing so much, but they do a lot for women. So the breakfast that we normally do in the North American Expo by the SEA Expo has grown to all these countries. Brazil has one, Korea has one, this one is in Costa Rica, and there are many others. But sometimes we don't have anything to do with that. They do it on their own so that they create an expectation and they create a place for them into their own coffee market. I place here something that Maria Elena she is the board president of the chapter in Greece, and she said, being part of the International Women's Coffee Alliance constantly remind me of why coffee matters. It is because we promote quality and excellence while ensuring farmers and inclusion is not just about improving coffee quality, it's about strengthening the people behind it. So I think that's beautifully said. This picture was taken in 2023. There is Sharon in the middle with a beautiful Ethiopian dress, and we are there with these authorities that 5 years ago they said no to an organization of women there. And this girl from Australia, she is the board of the president board of Australia, and she said, attending the IWCA convention and leadership summit taught me the true meaning of connection. When women come together to discuss shared goals, challenges, and experiences, the future of coffee looks brighter and more promising. And I think I will end it with our announcement that we are gathering with all these leaders next May in Indonesia, in Bali. So we are ready to welcome anybody who will join us in Bali or have any connection in Indonesia, more than welcome to join us.
Thank you.
We have a social media channel here. Each of the chapters has social media chapters, so you can follow them and what they're doing. Again, oops, keep going, sorry. The Caribou Coffee, and Blanca, you need to talk about this, your favorite slide.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is a little girl that it really inspired me, because how can we measure our KPIs? Well, by the chapters we form, how many members, and da-da-da, and all that. It's very interesting. But at the end of the day, we need to keep people interested, people informed, people involved, and people inspired to really think about what we are going to do with the future of coffee. And that means what are we going to do with the people that is related with coffee. So this young girl reminds me that there is a lot of work ahead of us. And that it's very inspiring, and we hope that you will be inspired by your next cup of coffee that you will have. And if you need more information, or if you would like to dig more on the coffees you are tasting, or support us, or create something new, we are very open and creative to do more things that will benefit women, their families, and their communities, wherever you are. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions? Steve?
I would like to ask if anybody sitting at that table or anybody else in here has ever drunk civet coffee and what does it taste like? Was it worth it?
No, don't do it. I feel yeah, no, forget about that.
Rick, you had a question?
What is the future of coffee? Where it's grown, how it's grown, in the face of climate change?
In the face of
Climate change.
climate change. Well, each country has its own battle, right? And we are speaking about not only the effects of the temperatures, but also natural disasters, right? There are floods, there are frozen, there are, things that frosted, and there are things that we cannot control. In the tropical weather, anything can happen. The rivers flown and overflown, and there are tragedies. Or the volcano just erupt and they mess the coffee down there. So the responsibility is for the governments to really see what they can do. Obviously, there are good governments and not so good governments, right? And they try to do their best. They need a lot of help. And by help, I mean all the international influence, not to say agencies or whoever has the experts who can help them develop new crops, new, more resistant plants. It exists. Anacafe, for example, they created a new crop, scientifically proven. It's called Anacafe 14 because it was born in 2014. Obviously, that research began in 10 years before that, until they had the crop ready to taste and prove that it was resistant to coffee rust, to the fungus. So it exists. It exists also an organization called the World Coffee Research. And they are doing a lot of effort also to give recommendations to these coffee producing countries and their governments and their institutions to make recommendations and find funds how to prepare the coffee producers or bring the material, the knowledge to fight that. But yeah, it's climate change. What else can we do? Yeah.
Okay, Blanca, which type of coffee specifically do you drink?
Guatemala.
Of course, no, but I love them all.
they're all
Yeah, but that's not fair because I'm from Guatemala. But I like light, medium, roasted coffee, no sugar, no milk, no nothing, and better if it is a cold brew. I like cold because when it's cold, you can taste the profiles are better. Not very hot coffee. That is good for the Finnish people. But in Guatemala, I prefer cold coffee, but brewed in cold.
Can you tell about the caffeine and the brews?
Oh,
talking about
yeah.
with the
We were talking about the kind of roasting. The dark roast coffee kills a lot of the good stuff in the coffee. The light roasted coffee has the good stuff that will prevent dementia, Alzheimer, Parkinson's, and also supports the digestive system. But the dark one, it really creates a little bit of damage down there.
It tastes
Yeah.
so good.
But about the caffeine, you will find more caffeine in a French press preparation than in an espresso. It depends on the length of the extraction of the coffee, where the caffeine will be more present in your cup. Normally, the caffeine will remain in your system 2 hours. Normally.
Back in the back?
Yes.
Okay, I have a question about this flyer that was placed on our table. It says here, top countries by annual coffee exports to the U.S. Brazil is at the first place, which is completely understand. But the third one is Switzerland. How do you explain that?
Well, we said the same thing when we saw this earlier, but I think Switzerland, because that's the home of Nestle, they export the roasted coffee. Normally, in the industry,
So is Canada.
and so is Canada. Normally, in the industry, when we talk about exports, we're talking about green coffee. This also includes roasted coffee.
All the Nespresso.
Yep.
And in
Yep.
Canada, it's Tim Hortons.
Tim Hortons in Canada.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, Roy, you had a question?
Now, why is fair trade coffee important to small producers, and why is that necessary?
Yes. The certification of fair trade is good for certain areas in the coffee producing countries because they really watch over the wellness of the coffee growers in the field. If they have good wages, if they have good facilities, access, if they are taken care of by the cooperative or the owner of the farm. So these certifications, fair trade is one, there is 4C, there is coffee practices from Starbucks, and there are more certifications. But they really supervise that everything that the coffee growers are offering, it's true. Some buyers, they don't care about certification. This is why they invest in making the trip and meet the coffee farmer face to face and visit the farm and check on the schools and check on all the things they are doing. But most of the buyers, they don't have the time to travel to Guatemala or to Indonesia or wherever to make a business happening. So they trust these certifications in order to make their business. So there are people out there that they don't know how they've never been in a coffee farm and they buy coffee from them. And the certification is important for them. Fair trade is a good one. They have another structure called CLAC, which is Commission for Small Producers. So they are working together. One is taking care of the coffee quality and the other one is of the quality of the work of the people in the farm, small producers. So they get along very well, they work together, and if you find something that is certified coffee trade, it means that everything is okay. Rainforest Alliance is another certification that works very well, and obviously they supervise environmental issues. Organic also is another certification, so there are various. The Jewish, they have another certification for kosher coffee, and the Japanese is also they have. So everybody has their own way how to satisfy the final consumer on their preferences.
Okay, just a couple quick little closing comments here. You all have been a great audience. I know we've used up a lot of time and we appreciate it. I will say, if you have any children or grandchildren, or this has fascinated you so much that you decide you want to go back and get a degree in coffee, you can do that at UC Davis. You can do it at Vanderbilt. You can do it at I don't know the name of the college up in Naperville. They actually have coffee programs. North Central?
Or Benedictine?
It's not Benedictine. But anyway, you can go and you can get a degree in coffee. And we are going to close with a fascinating story of how coffee was discovered as only Blanca can tell it.
Well, there is a legend that says that in the 14th century, there was a shepherd with their goats in the mountains of Ethiopia. So he noticed that when the goats were eating something from a bush, they were very active and jumping and everything. So he thought that maybe that was something good for him too. And he tasted the cherries of that. And it was bitter and didn't have much juice or nothing. So he threw the cherry in the fire he had when he was warming himself, right? So when the seed was roasting and burning, he felt the smell. And he thought, oh, this could be something good in here. So this is how they discover why coffee tasted so good after being roasted and prepared. So the legend started how they, in Ethiopia, it's the burnt, the origin place is endemic from them. Today is forbidden to take any seed from coffee from them. The first thing that I did when I went to Ethiopia, I said, how can I get seeds from Ethiopia? And they said, do you want to go to jail? Really? And I said, no, not this time. So it's forbidden. You cannot take seeds out of the country. And that's how so protective they are. But then it went from Ethiopia to the Arab world, and the Arabs through the Mocha port, they brought it to Europe, and the rest is a long story that we can talk later.
So it all started with over-caffeinated goats in Ethiopia. Sharon and Blanca, on behalf of the World Affairs Council of Central Illinois, our members and our guests, we thank you so much for this very informative presentation. I know I learned a lot. I love coffee, but I didn't know a whole lot about it. So it was really interesting, and to understand all the international dynamics too. So I have a gift for you, for each of you, as a small token of our appreciation. This is a signed copy of Leadership in Turbulent Times by Doris Kearns Goodwin, one for each of you. And this is courtesy of our partner, the Abraham Lincoln Foundation, who so graciously gifted those to us to share with our speakers. So thank you so much, Blanca, for traveling from Guatemala to come and talk to us tonight.
Thank you.
And thank you, Sharon, for helping us to make this happen and for lending your expertise. And it was really a great program. So please join me in giving them a hand.